Sky howdy from gorgeous western Montana, and welcome to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio, the most infotaining and excitational show about Bigfoot on the air. Anyway, I want to put out a special thanks to a couple of listeners to the show that sent in a couple of really sizable contributions to help the show continue for the rest of the month. You guys know who you are. I really appreciate it, and thank you very much. And just to remind everybody else, this show is viewer funded. Without you joining the team and helping it out, I cannot continue to bring these shows to you. So thanks to both of these guys. I really appreciate it. Also, if you want to fund the show, you can. Just go right to PayPal. It's paypal.me/World Bigfoot Central. And if you need pain relief like I do, and I'm glad I got mine on the way here now, because I need it. It's been raining for a week straight. CBD oil. We've got CBD. And if you want CBD, you can get some really good quality, very high quality, 60-day money-back guarantee. And you can help fund the channel while you're doing it. I've got a shop set up for you guys to go to. And it's myctfocbd.com/Duke Sullivan. And if you didn't catch that, go watch it again because it's up on the screen. So anyway, with that, due to popular listener demands, we're going to have the very infotaining and incitational return of multiple-time guest from New Mexico, the man who makes the cryptids run in fear, Randy Caveman Yazzie. Welcome back to the show, bud.
Hey, how's it going, Duke?
Can you tell us anything about your history or legends about the Anasazi and what happened to him?
As I'm told, the Anasazis were way too advanced. I'm thinking that they're talking about technology. And my grandpa, in his old age, he used to talk about they were the ones that had come up from the south into these areas, which we call the Four Corners area of New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. The Anasazis had their, they were migrating also. They were doing.
Did he
that.
know where they had come from originally down south?
He used to say that they had come down from the south where there were a lot of mountains that they had made themselves, from like the Incas, and I forget what the other
they had made themselves. You mean like pyramids?
Yeah, the pyramids from there, and just like the Hopis, they're all like in the Pueblos. See, these two are different, and also the Zunis are different tribes. They're not all the same, and that's what he used to say, that they used to come. They came from there, and they had traveled all the way up this way. Why? I don't know. He never did, say anything about it. Because back in them days, I guess the Navajo and the Hopi, they coexisted. Just like right now, there's the Hopi reservation is within the Navajo Nation boundaries. Always been like that. The Hopis depended on the Navajos just as much as the Navajos depended on the Hopis. And the other one was that the Zuni, they used to have a festival I forget which one. The spring, or I think it was the kind of like the starting of the rains, which was like when the monsoon season started. They used to have a festival, and they would invite a whole bunch of Navajos, and they'd eat with them, party with them, more or less. And when the Navajos passed out, then they would cook them, and then make those, cut up the meat, and then serve it to the other Navajos that were still coming in. And more or less like cannibals and all of that. And the Pueblos, they came from like the Aztecs or the Mayans and all of that, because the way he described it was these people, these Anasazis, could build their own mountains and live on that mountain. So that's how they had them structures like houses on top of one another. And in the old villages of the Pueblos and the Hopis and the Zunis, they're still like that. They're structures upon structures, in houses. And that's what he used to say. I never questioned him or anything like that. He just, I guess they used to trade. It's what he used to say. He used to trade with the Hopis. They would go down to where the Hopis live and do ceremonies with them. And that's how he had come up with that story. I guess they told him more or less. And that's the reason why the Hopis and the ones that are now here nowadays are the ancient people. That's what it means, Anasazi, the ancient enemy, because they used to come around and pick off whomever they caught and took them back, and there were sacrifices. The way that my grandpa used to say was they used to burn the people that they caught. So I'm thinking sacrifices from there, and that's the bad people. That's why they call them Anasazi. Really, it's called Anasazi, Ana meaning the enemy, Saza meaning ancient. And they were here.
That's pretty clear, though. I mean, you don't have to have much more of a clear picture than that.
Yeah, that's what my grandpa had relayed to me. He was blind at probably around 80 years old, and the next 23 years, then he went through life all blind. He went blind at about 80 years old. And he became really old and died at 103.
Jeez Louise. Well, yeah, you can't say he didn't have a full life. That's a long time. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice job, Grandpa. So did you guys have specific history about what ended up happening to the Anasazi? Because I've heard a couple other stories about that were pretty interesting. I was wondering if you guys had a story about where did they go to? The way that my grandpa had said is they got too wicked. They were so wicked, meaning like probably too technological. And they started doing all kinds of experiments on other races. And they were good at it. And they're the ones that built the Chaco buildings down towards Albuquerque from where I live, about halfway. And in the legends, it says that the tribe from here at that time, I guess the Navajo and the Apaches were the same. Heard it. They started going to war with them, and they heard it. The ones that they gathered up
they pushed them, exiled them towards the north, and that's the reason why the native tribes, or like for me as being Navajo, the color of the north side would be black. That's just like the part where all wickedness exists. And so anyways, they herded them all across the trees where they grew up into the skies. And these trees were so humongous. They passed them, they herded them through all of that. And also they came up upon land which was just covered in ice. Nothing grew. They came out of all the wooded area. So I'm thinking the redwoods is what.
Right. Well, we went over this in the War on the Giants now. So what you're saying is the Anasazi, the ancient enemy, were the giants.
Not really. These were people that had technology.
Okay, so were they allies of the giants then?
They knew he didn't say, but it's all of these. They had started to manipulate like genes, like just
right.
How the doctors or the scientists are doing nowadays.
Yeah,
that would be considered wicked, according to the Navajo.
So maybe the Anasazi almost sound like they're the Anunnaki.
Yeah, kind of like the ones. Well, I don't know what that place is called, way down Peru area, like the Pictoglyph.
Well, down there, they've got the down there. They've got the Conehead guys. There were the like ruling elite, weird guys who were apparently sort of in favor of human sacrifice and all that sort of stuff. And then you got the same description in a lot of the giants and stuff of having that weird cone head, the Anakim or whatever Nephilim sub-tribe it is. But, so, I mean, sure, you could have shorter versions of it because they talk about that. Ones that are only like, 7-8 feet tall, they still got that weird non-human head. And, the same kind of bad habits that the bigger giants that they hung around with and everything had. See, there's another story about the Anasazi getting wiped out. Basically, it's the Holocaust of Giants theory that the giants went ripping through there and basically ate most of them all in like
that might be coming from a different tribe.
Yeah, it's not coming from your tribe, but it is coming from other tribes in the Southwest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that from their perspective, there was the white ones and the red ones that were running around, just like the ones in down south toward the Zuni tribe. They had blocked off two giants in a cave where they pushed them in there and blocked them off. And recently, I guess I don't know who it was that wanted to uncover all of that, all them rocks that were covered up.
They buried them alive?
Yeah, they burned them.
Oh, God. Oh, they burned them. Okay, well, that's the Princess Winnemucca's account for the Paiute Lovelock Cave, where they had a whole bunch of them trapped in there and piled wood up out in front, set fire to it.
Yeah.
And told them, come out and surrender. And, they wouldn't surrender, so they killed them all.
Yeah, they were just eating people left and right.
Yeah, and that was the issue. They tried to make a deal with them and said, hey, if you guys don't have enough to eat, we'll bring you buffalo and stuff too. You don't have to eat us. And they just went, no deal. We like eating you guys. Oh, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to kill you then.
Yeah. That's why a long time ago, the Southwest tribes, they used to live kind of like underground. And if you go to one of the older hogans, what we call hogans, they would be set about maybe 2 feet into the ground, and that's where the wooden structure would start, and then built all the way up. It was just only to hold maybe 5 people, and it was just maybe I'd say 15 foot across homes. And my majority of the homes, except for the Pueblos and the Hopis and the Zunis, all of these tribes, they built upwards, and they lived in caves as to where they started building these structures along the cave, in the cave areas. So the only way to get up and down was the ropes or ladders that they had built.
Right. Even if you were a giant, you wouldn't be able to reach up and grab.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able. It was on sheer rock, just flat. And and all the other tribes, they lived kind of underground, even like the Paiutes. That's why the Navajos called them prairie dogs, more or less, because they lived. That's the name they gave them.
They come popping up out of the hole in the ground and snipe at you, or what?
Yeah, it was just like living underground.
Yeah. I'm laughing, but I mean, it's like, I know what you're talking about, and I've heard that from the other tribes and cultures and stuff in that area, that you seem to go back far enough, and there's that point in their legends and their oral history where it's like, well, yeah, we were living underground a lot right then, or we were living underground completely, and then we came back up to the surface again. And that sort of stuff. So it kind of made you wonder what was going on. Why were they being subterranean? Were the giants just eating everybody, or what was going on? Yeah, that's possibly, because they were with legends. They were already here. These giants were already here, and some were good and left the people alone, but some of them, just like any other gangs that we have out there, are just no good. And that's, how I understand it. They just ate people left and right. Yeah. Man, it wouldn't take very many of the really big ones with an attitude like that to get rid of a lot of people really fast. Yeah. See, that's part on one of the episodes that we, talked about how, I was told to run just right, about 0 dark 30. More or less what they used to say was when the big star came up, that's when you're supposed to be up, meaning the morning star. And you do your running and your exercises then. And then as dawn wakes up with you, then you're accepted into there. That's like, that was like a warrior training. Huh. And also, running, and then just like I said, this thing chased me all the way back to my house, and it stopped somewhere in the wash area, but I came up back to the other side, and all my dad said was, hey, you beat that monster that's down below. You outran that thing. That was all it, no remorse, nothing. Whether you were taken or not. Good job, son. You didn't get mugged. Yeah. So, old horse face was down there. But I thought it was a man, one of my cousins playing a trick on me. That's all I thought, Never did I think that it was a monster. Because like I said, they more or less look like us. Yeah. The native tribes. Yeah. You got like the type 1s running around there. They look pretty humanish. Yeah, they look human. Even though, when they walk inside late at night, they'll be looking at you and they look like one of those hobos. And they stink. And they never take their damn hairy coat off. Exactly. Even in the middle of summer, they be wearing a coat. Yeah. The thing about it is, we used to slap their hands when they used to start feeling our faces. Oh, when you were sleeping in the summer huts and you didn't have the door on there, and they just come wandering in and mess with you guys. Yeah, mess with us guys. They'll go through, just about everybody. And you could hear somebody, wake up in your sleep and then just have your eyes closed and just listening.
Then somebody will be saying, "Stop bothering me! Go on, get out of here!" All the Navajo slapping their hand and all that. Just wander in, like you said. But the thing we noticed is, proper human etiquette for Navajo. You close the door after you walk back out. This thing didn't. So we would. It was just a plywood that would just be moved in the doorway. That was it. There was no proper door or anything. It was just that plywood slid into place, and that thing would come in and start bothering people, and then it would walk back out without even closing the door, so to speak. And that was the only difference.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like for the most part, you've got pretty decent relations between the Hostine and the Navajo down there. Not too much problem with it, but, I've heard reports down there, and you've talked about some of them before, where there's been some pretty friggin' hostile behavior and humans' limbs being torn off and whatnot. Yeah. Has there been any of that happening here in the last 8-10 months since the last time we had you on the show?
No, there's, in fact, it's I haven't seen them out in the open, but at night, they'd be going to town on my tiles in the back of the house.
Hey, let's go get a drink of water and eat some horse feed and break some of Caveman's tile.
Yeah. To hell with all them Anasazi pottery, These tiles make more ping than those, or something like that. So, that's there's been reports, but people are just kind of like finding out for themselves if these things that I had talked about really do happen. But some of them they verify, it was looking at me right here and all of that. And then what I noticed is, like I was saying also, it's the Dogman that has the fire in the eyes, the red glow. And the only reflection from the Hostine's eyes is just like the real fast, like glistening. Yeah, that's what I noticed. Because as one of my nephews was playing basketball outside, and that's at dusk, he ran back inside, told me, hey, did you pile some rocks back there? And I said, no. We ran back out there. There was nothing. And he said that the pile of rocks that were right here at the edge of the downhill is gone, he says. And so we started kind of like looking on the horizon on the south side. This thing was supposedly on the southwest side of my residence, and it moved to the south. And it was peeping up and down behind the bushes on the south side. There's like a little, I don't know what you call them, a hill that goes elongated. And it was peeping up from behind the bushes. And we seen it, and we took off. He took off, so I just took off. And I don't want to be caught alone out there.
Yeah.
But if worse comes to worse, then I usually have a stick with me that that's durable, sturdy. So when I hear something or kind of see one, then I whack it on the ground, and that gives them the idea to get away. Because I started doing what they were doing, and it just seems like my grandmas, they used to do that. Our grandparents, our grandpas, they used to do that when they didn't want you around. They just get a stick and whack the ground and look at you all wicked, and then to get away.
Yeah.
They wouldn't say nothing.
You'll get thumped with a stick next. Won't be the ground next time.
Yeah, I'll roll your back.
Yeah.
You get speared with it.
Well, it's good to hear that there hasn't been any Bigfoot attacking humans, at least that you've heard of down there recently. So the hot spot seems to be up to the north of you by the mountains where people are seeing them coming down more often. You talked about before that there's at least one really big one that lives up there in the mountains. This is about what time of the year he starts coming down, isn't it? Or is this when he goes back?
Yeah. It'll start coming down somewhere around, see, my pictures were around July. And like I was saying, I still, cannot believe it because I didn't see it, but there were 23-inch tracks there. And the guy that was scared telling me of his encounter of that thing, just looking at him, just hanging on one of the branches, not hanging, but just holding the branch. And we measured up. He told me that it was the same size as the branch that was sticking out the pine, and it was way up there, 18-footer. And I was like, whoa,
Oh, good Lord. That's like mountain giant size here.
Yeah, and that's why he was scared. And
yeah, no kidding.
Like I'm gonna chase that one away,
Hell no, that's like running into a friggin' T-Rex in the woods. I'm going the opposite direction as fast as I can.
Yeah, then that's what I mean. I didn't see it, but I saw the tracks, and it's just like, whoa, really, no, really.
Good Lord. Did you get to be there and see him, or did he show you pictures of him?
He didn't show. He was just bringing his livestock in, and that thing was just looking at him. He thought at first it was just like another pine sticking up, right beside another one, until it kind of moved. That's when he shifted. Maybe that's what he was talking about. And that's when he kind of took a good look at it, and it had a face with the arm just holding on to the branch and just standing beside it. It didn't look like the ones that I would see on like the Patterson film. How bulky it is, and
right, more skinnier, like a basketball player sort of thing.
Yeah, just like that, just straight up. And that's why he thought it was just a pine at first. His horse was skittish, and
yeah,
his livestock kind of just got away from that area.
Good God. So did you get to go up there and find the tracks yourself then?
Yeah, he took me to the place.
Okay, so you got to find the tracks. Did you get to measure what the step length was?
It was just standing. It didn't have.
Okay. You didn't find a trackway. It was just where it was standing. You found tracks.
Yeah, just where it was standing, and it was just right on the dirt, and then all grassy on the, where it came from. It's all grassy on top of the mountain.
Yeah, it's like it is around here. It's either like solid rock or it's something that's just going to spring back into shape, and after a couple hours, there won't be any mark there anyway.
Yeah. Because I kept going with that measuring tape, and he go up more. When I passed 16, I was like, no, that can't be. Until he said, stop right there. And he ran back to where he was riding his horse. So, he told me where the top of the head was right below the branch.
Did he say it was all covered with hair, wasn't wearing clothes or anything like that? Other than being skinny and too tall, it looked like a Bigfoot, basically.
He said it was dark, just like the pine tree that was there. Right. It was dark, and when he really focused in on it and he saw the face, that's when he started looking back down. And that's where he found that it was hair, not barks or anything like that.
Oh, God. Wow. How far away was he when he saw this thing?
He was, I think he said it was about 300 feet.
Yeah, that's still way too close for something that size. I wouldn't want to be within half a mile of it.
Mm-hmm. And it was just looking at him.
Yeah, thankfully.
And
so there was no, it didn't have like any clothes or anything like that. It was just covered with hair, Bigfoot looking.
Just covered with hair, just long hair.
How clear were the tracks on the ground? Could you see the imprints where the toes were?
Yeah, the toes, the whole feet was right there. I guess it was kind of like, you know how we stand in one place, we kind of have that, make that indent into the ground when you're standing on loose dirt.
Yeah. So did you count the toes, 4 or 5?
It was 5.
Interesting.
It was 5. And that's, you know, like I was saying, you know, no.
Good Lord, though. I mean, what the hell is that? That's not regular Hostine. What would you guys say that is?
A bigger Hostine.
Yeah, bigger Hostine. You sure it's not one of Yates' kids or something?
That's the one that you would call Yates. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys
and the ones that
you kill off the original. Yeah, you kill off the original Yates. But if they're
like I said, you know, they move. They really don't stay in one place. They would move. They're always on the move.
Yeah, they got a big territory.
Either within a family. Yeah, the family pod that they have, or, you know, there's just one, you know, scouting the area, and the one that's lost. The one that's lost is the one that's always screaming on the top of its lungs, trying to find another family pod or something like that. That's the one that screams, trying to figure out where it would have another, what do you call it, another family.
Yeah.
Because we all just say, you know, there's family. We don't say pods or clans or anything. We talk about it as, you know, just family. And we would say, just like naming it, just like animals, like the bull, and then there's the female. The bull would be the one that's the biggest, and the female, if it has titties, and then the little kits,
the squatchlets.
You know, of course, you know, so that if you see them way off, and that you know that they're the smaller ones, they're probably the same size as us, like 6 foot or something like that.
Or sometimes even littler.
Sometimes, yeah, even little, like the ones we used to play with.
Yeah, exactly. If you think about it, that Squatch is probably like half the age of you guys. If you were 10, he was probably like 4 or 5. So it's like, woohoo, let's go play with humans. This is fun.
Yeah, play with those people over there. Well, whatever name they give.
Those goofy-looking, weird, hairless Bigfoots over there that are kicking that can around.
Yeah, I think that, well, the nearest neighbor at that time, we moved. There's a lot more people that have moved in, but at that time there was only 3 houses on top of the mesa. Now there's 13, and the nearest neighbor that we had was like probably about 3/4 mile, and we always used to wonder, you know, why it would come out way out there just to play with us. And then some of my relatives, either my siblings or my cousins, they would say, you know, it's that mental guy that's coming around again, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it didn't really. That thing didn't talk. I don't know if it was a he or a she, but it didn't talk. But it would giggle and laugh with us.
Yeah. So it clearly understood what was going on, more or less, that you guys were up to. It just couldn't actually speak any of the same language.
Just play with us like that.
Yeah. There's been other stories like that where younger Squatches have interacted with human children, and the kids just sort of didn't know any better and thought it was some weird grubby kid and played with them and whatnot. You know, even down in Australia, I've heard stories coming out of there, the same sort of thing. And speaking of stories of weird things, one of my recent guests having some big bad wolf problems around her house, Dogman around there. She's been getting audio recordings of them. Has there been any problems with Dogman down there on the res, or has that been all quiet too?
They've been all quiet.
That's good news. You guys had.
We're still having like cold breezes.
Right. So what? Are they more seasonal, more Dogman stuff during the summer season?
Yeah, you can see them. You can spot them out in the dark. They have them red glowing eyes. That's
creepy. So that's interesting, though. You usually don't run into them during the winter or have to worry about them being around there much during the winter?
It's like the hosting, that's one thing that I started to notice. There are the what we call the Dogman. They're more of a nuisance. They're the ones that we would call monsters.
Yeah.
The red glowing eyes. And when you see a hosting, people have, put corn pollen at their foot. They have when one of them starts yelling, the hosting starts yelling. The old folks, they used to take food out to where the yell came from, because it's thought of just like any other human that's lost. That person is probably hungry. So, go take some food out there so it won't go to the house. And they used to take...
Did that always work? Did that work, or did it actually follow them back to the house and want more food?
It's only the Dogman that would follow a person home. But the hosting, probably eats its full and then takes off again. Because that's, like for us, we always feed whoever's, in need when, we're out there. It was the old folks that really did that. And they kept it way out there. That's why I tell people nowadays that, that are here, don't be feeding your dogs right here next to the door, because that's where the food smell's going to be.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to start trying to, figure out, if the door's unlocked, I can go and steal some potato chips or something like that. And to feed your animals, your dog way out about 100 feet away or 200 feet away. Keep them out there. Keep the smell out there of food out there.
When I was camping up there on Mount Sentinel for 2.5-3 months doing research up there, that I had my cooking spot at least a couple 100 feet away from the tent. And that's where I'd go and cook everything and eat it there and then go back to the tent. So there wasn't any food smell or anything like that anywhere around where the tent was.
Yeah, that's one good thing. You know how in picnic areas, it's always good to have a bottle of Clorox, to put on the grill, clean the grill, and clean it with Clorox. Because nowadays, when people go camping, they might have their tents around the campfire, and then that's where they cook, and they wonder why they got visitations.
Yeah.
These things just come in and start looking for food, and if they can't find it, then they start messing with the people that are inside the tents, because just common sense, if the food is not out there, then it must be inside. That's the reason why they used to jiggle at my doorknob until one of them came in, feeling up my wife at the time, and ran out and flung that door real hard as it ran out, and I seen it just move real fast. And while I was still trying to jump out of bed, it moved about maybe 10-12 feet from across the bed, jumped over the corner of the bed, ran out to the hallway, back to the back door. By the time I put my slippers on, the door had been swung open real hard. Boom, And
I don't think you ever actually went through this whole story on the show before. You want to go back and set it up from the beginning about how all this happened?
Normal life, we would go to bed and we would leave the windows open.
Right.
And we really didn't have no screens or anything. And I hadn't noticed on the back door that when you pull on it kind of hard, it just opens up, and the latch wasn't really working. And I hadn't noticed these things, but when you hear the click, and then that's it's good to go. But during one night, we would we went to bed, and me and my wife were laying by each other. I was in kind of like the fetal position towards her, as she used to lay upwards on her back. And one night, she said she woke up with somebody feeling on her stomach, going up towards her breast area. And she looked at it, and there was a figure over her, a black figure over her. And she said she just froze, couldn't do nothing. And once it passed her breast part towards her neck, just feeling, just not squeezing or nothing, just like touching with all 10 fingers. And she said she froze, and she was just looking at it, and it was just dark. The only light that was coming in at the time was just the moonlight. And the window was open, and she finally, as she had told me, she finally, kind of like worked her nail into my pinky. And I immediately woke up like, ow, I woke up, but then I saw this figure standing right there, because I saw it against the white background of the mobile homes that, all these mobile homes, the majority of them have white walls, and overhead the roof, not the roof, but the ceiling are all white.
Right.
And I seen a figure standing over, kind of bent over her. And I said, wow, as I thought it was, maybe an insect had bitten me or something like that. So I just immediately woke up, and I saw that. And when I yelled, it turned, and in that one motion, it jumped the corner of a queen-size bed. Went there. There's the entrance right there, kind of like on the other corner of the queen-size bed. And it jumped to there, kind of slid and grabbed the walls right there and pushed itself kind of towards the right. That's where the hallway, through the hallway. It probably made about only 2 steps, because it was only about maybe 7 feet to the door. And here it stopped right there, made the turn again. By that time, I was thinking that it was a thief. Somebody had come in and, feeling up my wife. That's what I thought. So I was, mad that somebody touched my wife. So I was I slipped into, I thought I was fast to slip into those slippers, but all that time within me rolling from my left to my right and sitting up and getting into my slippers, it had already made itself go to the door and push it out. It didn't even like turn the knob or anything. All I heard was whoosh, like the breaking of cheap metal. And it swung the door real hard as it ran out. It bounced. That door bounced against the outside wall of the trailer. And I picked up what they call eagle feather protection feathers, and it makes a loud clap when you slap it up against your palm. And I took off with it. This time I was thinking a thief or some kind of spirit. And I took it out. I ran out just the same way as fast as I could. And I jumped out. I didn't use the steps. I jumped out onto the ground. And to the right, which is the south, I heard footsteps. So I ran that way and kept smacking the eagle feathers onto my palm, making that real loud whack sound. And I did that, and then I stood in it. It went somewhere. It just disappeared. It was dark. The only thing was I didn't see no figure moving at night, even though there was moonlight, because it was probably about far away by now, maybe 100, maybe 50 to 100 feet. And I stopped right there, and I was yelling after it. And in Navajo, when you encounter something that startles you, you have to get mad at whatever it is in return. So I started swearing and all of that in Navajo, and I said, the same thing that Yazzie said to its victims, which was, when I find you, I will build a fire and then boil you underground and then eat you. That's what I said. I remember that. And I was mad out there pacing back and forth, whacking that eagle feather. I ran back inside. My wife was all startled. What was that? That was a ghost. And I said, I don't think it's a ghost. I think it was a thief or something. It's, because I seen it. I seen the shadow take off. And why would the door swing? If you think of it common sense wise, if it was a ghost, it'd just go through the wall or something, or just disappear.
Fly out the open window. Wouldn't need the door at all. Yeah.
It was way too big for the window. The window was only like 2 by 2.
Yeah, but a ghost can squeeze through a 2 by 2 window.
Oh, yeah. It just maybe float off or something. I'm just thinking. But this thing actually moved. That's what I told her. So, we have a thief, and I didn't have no, at the time, I didn't have no spotlights, flashlights, or nothing, I only had traditional artifacts that I use, and plus the 22. So that was my only protection. Other than that, I'm gonna scratch your face,
Yeah, that's not a lot of protection.
So
at this point, did the wife decide that you needed a little bit more security at the hacienda there, or what did you have to say about it?
Well, the next few weeks, she talked about it, and she tried to get one of those 50 cal rifles.
Well, she had the right idea anyway.
Yeah. I told her, we don't have the $5,000 to pay for that rifle.
Yeah.
I probably won't even use it after that. But later on, I bet I'm just thinking that, based on when my nephews and nieces came around, they used to stay with us. They always used to, argue about somebody taking their candy or their chips. And they would hide it, but still it would be gone. Then they would try and say that it was me that was eating all their snacks in the middle of the night while they were asleep. I said, no, I didn't. So it has been coming in before and after, that encounter. Even we must have, had been going to sleep in deep sleeps at the time, because it would take like food from inside the refrigerator also. The food be disappearing from there. Just one item.
Do you think a bunch of them around the res are doing this kind of behavior, or do you think this might actually be the notorious Cookie Monster?
There's one of my buddies that I used to work construction with. He said that he had seen one, and he didn't want that Hosteen to go to the house, so he would get a couple melons and drop it off way away from their house. And in the evenings when he would drive through, he would drop those melons off, and then he would continue on to his house. And in the mornings, those melons would be gone. And so he figured, they're staying out there. And he got laid off for about, I think it was 2 weeks. And then he came, after he got hired back on, he came to me and he told me, hey, you know what, don't feed those things. And I said, why? And then he says, well, I've been feeding them melons every time, I went coming back from work. I'd buy me a couple melons, place it way out there a mile away. And then this time when I got, I didn't have any melons. Well, the watermelon I kept, he says. And I went back to the house and we were going to eat it the next morning. And I placed it right a little ways from the window. And this was a log cabin. He lives way up in the mountains. Late at night, while they were still up and about, everybody just kind of saw the whole thing, which all of a sudden a real big arm comes in through that window and grabs that melon and takes off with it.
You got to smell it.
I know I'm not the only one that they do that to.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy though.
And they do observe a lot, even though we don't know, we'll be living way out in the country. And it
ain't like they got a busy 9 to 5 schedule or something. If they get curious about you, they got plenty of time to go follow you around and watch you.
They'll just sit in one place without, peeping a sound. They'll know where all the horses' feeds are. They'll observe the whole area before they come in and do their ransacking the place. They'll find out where you go to.
They'll figure out the sneakiest possible way to get in and get out again and try and do the whole thing without you ever knowing they're there. That's Forest Ninja thing.
They'll keep on doing that until they get caught.
Yep.
Somebody knows it.
Then they'll figure out a new
There was another story. Yeah, there was another story. This was in a housing area. And one guy, I guess, went out to smoke his cigarette, and he said that there was a shadow moving towards the door of the people that live right across him. And he just looked at it while he was smoking his cigarette. And this thing came, this guy, he says, goes inside. He was as tall as the doorway. Goes inside. After, I'd say about 2 minutes, I think it was what he said. Somebody screams from inside that house because they had the door open. And this thing runs out real fast and takes off down towards the dark area. And the people that came out of there were way smaller than the dude that ran out, he says. So if you leave the door open, it'll walk right in.
Yeah, open door is open invitation.
That's how, uneducated we were about these things. They came inside and then, they probably slept by us or something like that. In the morning time, the woman would say, you stink, and then they kick you out of bed.
Well, you got the supernatural thing there too, like if you don't invite a vampire in, they can't come into the property. And, so open door, open invitation, and spooks and vampires and Bigfoot and any kind of thing can wander into your property if you have to.
Even a dog will walk in.
Yeah. Even the dog, when they haven't got their chains tangled together because the Hostine left them that way, then they can come in.
Yeah. That was amazing. To hear the chains were all tied together. The two dogs I used to have, and they let go of both dogs. One hung around, the other one was, way out there somewhere.
Well, they seem to get along better with those dogs. You just recently lost one here, right?
Yeah. My Chihuahua dog, blessed his soul. He always used to act like he was the alpha of the whole outfit and of dogs that I used to have, two female Koyo dogs. One is just the daughter of the main one that I had, and she's pretty good, as big as a full-size German Shepherd, because it looks half German Shepherd, but the coat is tan. It kind of has like that fluffy coyote tail, all of that mixed in with a German Shepherd. And I picked up 3, and as we were going towards where those little puppies were yelping at, seeing the coyote run out of there. So I figured that might have been the mother. And we picked up those 3 little puppies, and I took them home. And 2 of those puppies started attacking my goats. And so I had them taken to the vet, euthanize them, and then because they're no use once they start attacking livestock if you have dogs.
Yeah.
And then the other one I kept, and she was the smart one, and that's the one I kept. And the only names that I gave him was 1, 2, and 3. So I didn't want to call him like Sally, Nancy, or anything like that. So I just called him 1, 2, and 3, and they just. The 1 and 2 got, I took them away, and 3's the only one. So when I walk outside 3, and she comes running around from behind the house somewhere. And she had a litter, from there, and only one survived. And she's even much smarter. She hangs around, her coat is real fluffy, just like the goats. And she hangs around with them. And she likes to hang around with the goats. So the goats, when the goats take off, then she's like barking and tries to let the goats get away first. And she's pretty good, always hanging around with the goats. But this little one, this Chihuahua dog, as I walked in one evening, I seen him laying right in front of the house. And, we greeted each other. He wagged his tail, looked at me, and that was it. And I walked inside. The next morning, I couldn't find him because I was going to feed him. And then all through the day, I tried to, call out to him. And he didn't, nothing. There was nothing. The second day, only his head appeared back just a little ways from where he was lying down. And it was kind of like to the side of the house. And, I got pissed, looked around, thought about every animal that I could get to with my 22. But then who would bring back the head of a dog after they take it? That's what I thought. And there's only 2 other incidents that had happened before where a cat had been drained of its blood and laid on one of the electrical spools, the real big spools that I have around the house for tables. It had been laid on there with no blood. There was only one small hole on the neck, and all the blood had been sucked out or something, because that was the only disturbed area. And the other one was a puppy that I had, and I was going to keep too. And here they slit the side right along the rib cage of that puppy and just took out only the heart and the lungs and all of that, the upper part. rather than, the stomach and all of that. And the little puppy was kind of like a little ways on the west side. So those are the only two incidents that had happened. And I thought of those things when I seen my little Chihuahua on Chihuahua's head there.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy. So you never did find the body. The dog disappeared, and then the next day the head appeared.
Yeah. There was no body. None nowhere.
And that other one that died from blood loss, that sounds like one of those, what do you call them, chupacabras. One of them chupacabra things, one of them goat suckers that drinks blood.
Yeah, but the way I thought about it was this: if you have sharp fingernails and you punch a hole into the cat's neck and then suck the blood out and not eat the body, which would mean that the person that did it, or the Hosteen that did it, I think it's a Hosteen just drinking the blood because it was thirsty. It wasn't hungry, and just laid the whole cat back right on top for me to see.
Gross.
Back right on top of that electrical. And the first thing I saw was, the cat.
Oh, sorry that happened to your cat.
And I, never really did pay attention. Before I would have like missing cats or little puppies or anything like that. I wouldn't really think of it because there were coyotes and foxes. Even a coyote, if it takes a little puppy or a cat, it wouldn't bring the head back. And then why would there also be just a slit on one of the little puppies and just eat the upper portion of the insides?
Yuck.
So, it's just that, it's just the fingernails and cutting the whole thing open and just taking that. And that was out kind of like out in the open too. And no coyote, no cougar or anything. We have cougars here, but they wouldn't bring the head back also. The cougar would just take the whole thing also. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty peculiar. That's not like any kind of normal wildlife I could think of that would do something like that.
Yeah. And my younger brother just laughing when I told him. He comes around and told him, hey, this thing happened to me, and, let's go out and find out who it was. And we try to track around. And he says, well, then, curse that person, whoever did it. And he's like, okay, shaking my fist up in the air, you bloody bastard. That's all I said. What could I say?
Officially cursed by the Navajo cryptid hunter. And he shakes his fist and says, you bloody bastard, that's an official curse. Right on, man.
Yeah, that's a real big curse.
Heavy duty one. Carries much might. Crushes mountains, causes cryptids to flee. All right, buddy. Well, I hate to tell you, but we are like running long on time here, so we're probably going to have to cut her short, I'm afraid. But, you can always come back again. And everybody always enjoys having you on the show. I always enjoy having you on the show. So I'd hope you'd be willing to come back on again at some point.
Yeah, sure. This summer, I'm going to, go out there, and he has found way down below. I thought there was only one, but he told me there was a couple. There was one that he found a whole bunch of bones right at the entrance, and these caves are like you can just walk in.
Oh, this is the one you were telling me about.
Yeah, they'll just this is on the Choctaw side,
right?
And so I want to take somebody that can run slower than me. So
always a wise precaution. Good, it's a good plan with merit.
Yeah.
Okay, brother.
Yeah, I hold my presentations too, so I try to go live with it, and that's on on Facebook, of course. I go live.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him on YouTube, but he's still only on Facebook. It's Hosteen Zitztloi, HASTIINDZILTLOI, right?
Yeah.
on Facebook. That's his group. That's Navajo for the big man of the mountains, Bigfoot. And that's the name of his group. And you have cool swag available now too, right? You're making T-shirts.
Yeah, maybe you can put that on the MeWe. For all the folks that are out there, just be careful. You go out, keep picnicking or camping. Just always be aware of your surroundings. Always, don't take chances just because you think that you have everything. You're gonna be out there having a good old time. Always check your surroundings. Always look for that broken leaf, or if there's structures and all of that.
Yeah.
Just go out maybe about quarter mile, walk around first.
Yeah.
See what's out there.
Look for just anything out of the ordinary. Yeah, tree snaps or snaps,
just do that.
Tree structures or giant 2-foot long impressions in the ground or boulders mysteriously flying through the air past your head. Anything out of the ordinary like that. All signs maybe you shouldn't be around there.
Yep. Yeah. That's be aware of your surroundings.
Yep. Most of the people that have encounters aren't out there looking for them. It's random. They just run into one. And quite often it's because they're not paying attention to their surroundings.
Well, maybe next time I'll tell you about the one that I just walked into.
Well, darn it, you should have brought it up on this show, but we're out of time now. So, okay, we'll have you back soon. You can tell us that story.
Yeah, okay.
You aren't the only one. I've heard a few of those stories before, and that's the absolute worst when you just about bump into the damn thing in the dark or something.
Yeah, you won't see them until you passed it. After you have dirtied your underwear and you look back, try to keep calm. And, it's not always good to run, just act like natural. And it's very hard to do, yes, but you just have to act natural and they'll act natural.
Yeah, if you run, though, then you look like a deer trying to run away from them. That triggers them to want to chase you.
To chase you and grab you.
Yeah.
You're fun then. You're game.
Yeah, your reflex. Think of a cat chasing a mouse or something around. The cat isn't necessarily intent on catching and eating it. He's having fun terrifying it and chasing it.
Yes. Yeah, it's the same. Just like my mom calls it. That's not a hostine. That's not anything else. That's a man animal, she says.
No, it's a Yeti. Who was that? Your brother that was saying that?
Yeah, the next one. He thought he was, really talking fluent English. He says, that's not a Sasquatch. It's not Bigfoot. That's a Yeti. He says, it's called a Yeti. So I was like, okay. All right, smart boy.
Dang Yetis escaped from the Himalayas and came over to the Navajo lands. Now you can't keep the cryptids where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Good thing that mountain giant probably ate them.
Like I've been, and here the wording, the Yeti, comes close to what we say Yeti over here.
Yeah.
If you think
and remind everybody what that means.
Yeti is like the word itself means scary, mysteriously. That's what it means. Unknown. That's what Yeti really means. That's the way I was taught.
Unknown, mysterious, scary Yeti.
Yeah, that's the translation of Yeti.
An unknown, mysterious snowman Yeti.
Yeah,
that's really a lot. Really a lot too close, pronunciation-wise, and actually what the words mean-wise too. Yeti means something along the lines of evil man of the snows.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah, maybe some Navajo left and went all the way across the ocean and took over the Himalayas. And that's why their language is similar.
That's the story that I was telling about the going through the redwoods. They kept on pushing these wicked people through there, and they found the floating island or the floating land, and they moved into there. These guys, the chasers wanted these wicked people to die somewhere, but then they found the floating land in the middle of the big waters, where
Ice pack.
there at first, yeah, ice pack, and then there was the floating land, and then from there on they saw another land right across, and
Siberia.
they crossed to that side, yeah, into Siberia. And
So
then
now,
from there,
from
it
what
just
I
goes
understand,
over.
some of those tribes that were chasing those guys didn't actually come back. Some came back and said they're going to keep chasing them, and you guys stay here and hold Alaska basically, and don't let them come across again. And then what happened to the other tribes that kept chasing them? Where'd they go? You never probably heard again.
They were, some of them. That's how the song goes in one of the ceremonies. They were told to sit back and guard the entrance into the motherland.
So these guys,
they became dead
you talking about in Alaska or in Siberia?
in Siberia. They traveled through Alaska.
Right.
And then the floating land, I'm thinking maybe the Aleutian Islands or...
Right. Well,
there's
just the
actually
ice
land.
pack in between during the winter, you can walk across it if it's frozen hard enough. You know, you've got the
Yeah.
ice pack up there that you can walk across, basically.
They wanted to have these things. There were monsters coming out the water. They wanted these wicked people to get eaten by these monsters that were coming out of the water. So I'm thinking that's what they're talking about is whales.
Yeah. They're trying to feed them to the killer whales before they got across back into Siberia again.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they left a rear
And then
guard
from-
in Siberia to make sure they couldn't come back again, though.
Yeah. They started to. They took all these people that ran off to the side and all of that, and some of them ate snakes and bugs and whatnot, and so they left them all there. And not tribes, but some people. Supposedly, these are all Navajos, and they were told to stay and guard the entrance of where they came from, which was the Siberian Peninsula, close to Alaska. So they won't go back through there. There were all different people that were left behind. They probably escaped and all of that, because in some weird way, you know, those have been, you know, what should I say, been gene manipulated back then by the Anasazis.
Right.
Like I said, these Anasazis were really technological. They knew what they were doing. They were like the modern day scientists now. They knew what they were doing, and they were all, you know, trying to get rid of them. And then from there on, people tried to forget anything written down or, you know, factual. So that's why all the stories started just to become oral and just passed down. And that was the first exile that the Navajo sings whenever there's, you know, people getting into psychological problems. They take them like on that journey and then bring them back purified. Only to say that the good people that chased these wicked people away came back. Only the good people came back. The other tribes were left behind. Yes, that's why they say, you know, there's people over there. The other people, they call them, and then there's the other people that live north in the Canadian areas. Yeah, and all the way up east, the people got lost and came back in from the east, somewhere by Michigan, Ojibwe, and coming back this way into the Four Sacred Mountains. That's actually a ceremony, you know, revered, you know, for psychological purification. people don't really talk about it. I don't know if the ceremony can still be done. And then, you know, there's the second one was the separation of sexes. You know, so there's the steps of why these things have happened and all of that. And then also in between there, you know, there's the Yeti, which is there. All that they have always been living all over the place.
Yeah, that's sort of the problem.
You know, that's the main. That's how they're observed as them being the main people, the world, the earth people. Everything that's here, like even the meaning the animals, they're, you know, they have hair, they have fur, and all of that. And we are just the product of, you know, we're the hybrid.
Yeah, there's other legendary that seems to point in that direction too. That, you know, even you know, to a certain aspect, Christianity points that way too. You know, there were the pre-Adamite races running around on Earth, and then God made us, Garden of Eden, yada yada yada, made it so that we could reproduce, and then we got let loose and started running around, being all over the place. Broke out of the monkey cage or whatever happened there. So yeah, you know, and it makes you wonder if Bigfoot and some of these other relic hominids are just the pre-Adamite races that were here already before we got created. And because it does seem like we're not designed all that well to live in most cases in the wild places on the earth, unless we have technology on our sides, man, where we can live without it is a really, really small area. So it wouldn't seem like we would have been a natural product of this planet, in as much as we're horribly ill adapted to the conditions on most of it. But anyway, I got to let you go, brother. Here we're running way long. Once again, thanks for coming on the show. Glad to have you with us again, and looking forward to having you back again. In the meantime, everybody go check out Hostin Destroy over on Facebook and say hi to Caveman. And pester him to set up a YouTube channel so he can start posting his videos there. And thanks everybody that's been trying. It's my favorite peeve with him right now. I pester him about it all the time. Anyway, everybody that's been helping out the channel, I appreciate you guys. It's been really rough the last couple months, and the couple folks that just came through here in the last few days.
So make sure that you're kind to everyone. Safety first, last, and always. Pay it forward. Don't be mean to people if you don't have to be. Don't flip off the mountain giant. Don't poke Dogman with a stick. Don't punt the puckwudgie. And for God's sake, whatever you do not hug the Wookiee. See you later, folks.